The Vancouver Canucks are off and running using a big third period to douse the Flames 5-1 on opening night. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealers Studio in downtown Vancouver. 5-1, the Canucks all over the Calgary Flames. I'm Jeff. He is Irf. And we are coming to you from that Pacific Toyota Dealers Studio that we talked about, shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Rink Wide brought to you in part by Bet365. A little bit of a slow build in this hockey game, but the Canucks open the scoring late in the first period. It stays 1-0 through 40 minutes, and then, Irf, I don't know what happened. The floodgates opened, but the Vancouver Canucks skate away with a convincing 5-1 victory.
Yeah, big performance from the Canucks. Lots to talk about. That second line center we were talking about that the Canucks needed. What the hell's going on? Philip Heedle factoring in a big way, and yeah, doing all of this without any contribution from their captain?
Yeah, it wasn't a banner night for Quinn Hughes. Doesn't figure in the scoring, but lots of guys there to pick him up. But I don't think we're worried about Captain Canuck. He'll be just fine. And really, there were questions all summer about where would the offense come from. And then you looked at the preseason and, yeah, okay, they scored 8 in Calgary against his Flames team. But they were among the league leaders in goals scored in the preseason. And so I don't know if we misjudged them. It is only one night, but again, to get 2 from Heedle, who scored just 2 in 15 games before they had to shut him down with yet another head injury last season. Jonathan Lecker-Mackey, we saw the big one-timers in the preseason. The kid, he starts his account here this year with a nice goal, made it 4-0 midway through the third period. Brock Besser looking like Brock Besser, and we saw him score the opening goal at the Saddle Dome with a snapshot here off the rush. Elias Pettersson, EP40, and Jake DeBrusk getting the assist. The other Elias Pettersson involved in this hockey game. We'll certainly get to all of that as well. But Kiefer Sherwood is the guy that opened the scoring, and I thought he had a nice preseason. I thought Drew O'Connor skated miles in the preseason as well, and those two combined to get things going for the Vancouver Canucks at the 14:53 mark of the opening period. Joel Hanley handling the puck like a grenade in the neutral zone, and O'Connor able to get to Sherwood with the shot off the wing. Now, Dustin Wolf starting back-to-back. The guy's going to play a ton of games for the Calgary Flames. I don't know if I was surprised. He's their meal ticket. Conventional hockey wisdom tells you that starting goaltenders back-to-back generally doesn't work. I'm sure he would have loved to have had the save there on the Sherwood shot.
Yeah.
Shot from distance. It was a good shot. Kiefer Sherwood can wire it. We've seen that. Scored 19 last year. Anyways, I mean, this isn't on Dustin Wolf, but curious decision because now the Flames go back home. They've got their home opener. You would think that their number one guy would get the call in the first game on home ice of the season. He may play 70 games this year. They got to be careful in how they handle Dustin Wolf. Bottom line is the Canucks took advantage of a goaltender and a team that was playing for the second night in 24 hours, both games on the road. They went to overtime and a long shootout last night in Edmonton. They got the victory there. But I do think in a 1-0 game going to the third, the Flames playing their 6th period of hockey in a condensed portion of time, the Canucks had to make that matter, and they did. And that's when they took over this hockey game. And it started with Philip Heedle taking a tripping penalty on the first shift of the third period. Canucks able to dodge that bullet, and then Heedle out of the penalty box. Bit of a fortunate bounce. Hey, they'll get some bounces that go against them, but Philip Heedle taking advantage of a bounce off defenseman Kevin Ball, the back of his head, and unfortunate for the Flames, but a lucky bounce, good bounce, favorable bounce, you can call it what you want, came right back to Heedle, and he made no mistake.
Well, and the interesting part about that goal is every single player looked at the official because Ball went down hard. It took a deflection before it even hit Ball on the head. I can't remember who it hit, but it was just a weird play here, and Heedle's lucky. I mean, hockey's a game of bounces, and unfortunately for the Flames, it went the Canucks' way, and off we go. Philip Heedle's got his second of the game.
Well, that was his first.
Sorry.
Yeah, but moments later, he would get his second. As it turned out, that made it 2-0, so that stands up as the game-winning goal, but Heedle was far from done there. Just a ton to like on his second goal.
Yeah.
Arshdeep Baines, and we'll certainly get around to assessing his night, and he was involved. Baines with the headman pass, breakaway for Heedle, that speed on display as he pulled away from the Flames defenders. And I liked how confident he looked on the breakaway, made absolutely no mistake, picked a spot and snapped it past Dustin Wolf. And again, it's one game. You got to be careful here. But performances like this could change the conversation around the Vancouver Canucks if Filip Heedle can step in and hold his own as a legitimate second-line scoring center in the National Hockey League.
Well, I think that was the biggest thing. You mentioned holding his own. I think staying healthy was obviously the big one when looking at, Filip Heedle, but being able to go and put the puck in the net, being able to contribute night in and night out, play with that speed, play with that little bit of snarl that he has in his game, and show that offensive flair. I mean, the breakaway goal that he had, not only was the speed to pull away from the defenseman, but the finish, Jeff. It's a very professional finish. Didn't try to do something that he's not used to doing, just puck in the back of the net. Pretty easy, pretty professional there from Filip Heedle. And if they can get more nights like this out of him than not, he can get to 20 goals this season. He's already got 18 away in 81 games. So it's not too much of a task to ask, but obviously staying healthy is a question mark, and it's a great start for them.
We tell you about this on every episode of Rink Wide, and we'll mention it right here as we get off and running game 1 of 82, and we'll be here after every single Vancouver Canucks game all season long. And that is that you can take part if you've got a comment, a question, something you want to hear or see us talk about, a suggestion, you name it. Hit us up with a super chat. Our charity partner again this season, the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. The YouTube live chat is going wild on opening night. Not a surprise there. The chat's already in midseason form. And we've got a couple of super chats right off the hop. Dominic, this style way more free-flowing than last year. Again, they got the Flames on the back end of back-to-backs. I don't think anybody's picking the Calgary Flames to win the Stanley Cup. So there will be greater challenges ahead for the Vancouver Canucks. Be sure of that. But on opening night, hey, it was fun. Building was hopping. And Dominic, we thank you for that super chat. Hugo Mugo, a regular contributor. That was fun. Demco looked great. Thanks for the show. And Corey G, another super chat. So they're coming on strong right from the outset. The Stars showed up, but Baines, who I was skeptical of, had 2 massive blocks on the penalty kill, sent Heedle in on the breakaway. Kudo to Arshdeep Baines. So thanks to everybody for those super chats. Keep them coming for a great cause, the BC Mental Health Foundation. Oh, let's get to our 3-star selection because we've talked about Heedle. We're going to get to Arshdeep Baines as well. And then, hey, it's 3 stars, so...
we got to get someone else in there.
And we do. We lots of options. They spread the scoring around, some solid defensive efforts as well. The 3 stars are a presentation of your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. You can drive up to 72 kilometers on battery alone, and that's enough to get you from downtown to the rink, the grocery store, and then home to recharge. Seamlessly transitions from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers, loaded with tech that is actually easy to use. And now you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months, $3,600 down, and it includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealers today. All right. 3 stars in the building. Filip Heedle was star number 1. These were selected by the broadcasters on Sportsnet. Heedle, Demco, and Kiefer Sherwood, who opened the scoring. And I thought Sherwood was involved. We go slightly different here.
Yeah.
Filip Heedle, the 2 goals, including the game winner, 5 shots, Irf, 8 shot attempts. Like, this guy had the puck on his stick all night long, not afraid to shoot it, and obviously good things happened when he did. So, again, lots to like there. Some really encouraging signs. No doubt about it. Filip Heedle leaves his stamp on this hockey game. He is star number 1. There's Arshdeep Baines, gets the assist, but I think people, certainly on social channels, they were buzzing about those second period blocks on the penalty kill. He's out there on the penalty kill, first and foremost, and second of all, doing the things that he's going to have to do. I know he was in the top 6 role, but I think when they're healthy and Hoaglander's back, and I mean, maybe even well before then, if he doesn't bring it offensively, he may find himself dropping in the lineup. but there's still a role for Arshdeep Baines on this team, and picking up some of the slack on the penalty kill, I think, is a way that he can contribute. This was a really nice start to the season for Arshdeep Baines in that regard.
Yeah, we always talk about how hard it is to make the NHL. It's even harder to stay in the NHL, but things like Arshdeep Baines did on the PK is exactly how you stay in the National Hockey League. We talk so much about, his offense and is he really the right guy to play in that top six role? Maybe he's in that top six role and he's up there, but it's his play defensively that his coach knows how much he can trust him in key situations. Obviously, the penalty kill was huge for the Canucks here tonight.
Turn the puck over, didn't get it out of the zone on the one Calgary goal. We won't hold that against him.
Sherwood also skated over it.
No, there were other breakdowns, but look, just full comprehensive analysis of this hockey game. It wasn't a perfect game for Arshdeep Baines, but again, I think there was a lot to like in his performance. I still wonder about the offense, but hey, he's a point-a-game guy this season with the assist on the Heedle breakaway goal. And there's Thatcher Demco. Remember Thatcher Demco? Yeah, guy named used to play for the Vancouver Canucks. It's been a while. Hadn't played a game since April the 6th, I think it was. Got into the 3 preseason games, obviously. I thought he looked good from camp on, and here wasn't busy. Just 18 shots on goal, but it's the situations, it's the timely saves, it's those high leverage moments. And his save on Sharon Govich on the power play in a 1-0 hockey game late in the second period. Flames did squat with their power play all night long. I saw Calgary fans were freaking out about the fact that Zane Parekh hasn't played either of the first 2 games, and you got a power play that went 0 for 4 on the night, only registered the 3 shots on goal. But in saying that, it took them a while, but late in that second period, they moved it around. They got Sharon Govich in front. That was the chance they were looking for, and I just thought Thatcher Demco made it look so easy, so effortless. That's Thatcher Demco from a couple of seasons ago. And it's such a good sign for the Vancouver Canucks to have their main man in net back. Obviously, Kevin Lankinen's going to get starts as well, like if they stay healthy. And we've been talking about it for a while. I mean, they have a legitimate chance to have an edge in goal most nights with that 1-2 punch. But I just think Thatcher Demco, coming off the season that he had and just 23 starts, only 10 wins last year, a confidence builder for him. Confidence builder for the guys in front of him, and as a result, he stopped 17 of 18, is the 3rd start here on Rink Wide.
It's funny, and I go back a couple seasons. Thatcher Demco, how many nights where did he sit and look and say, man, if my team could score 2, 3, 4, we can win this game? His team scored 5 in front of him, so You mentioned he wasn't very busy, but when he needed to be busy, he was there. He's a Vezina caliber goalie, and he's a very important, if not the most important piece to this little puzzle that the Canucks have and what they're trying to accomplish. His health, obviously, we talked about Philip Heedle and his health, but if Thatcher Demco can stay healthy, if he can play the way that he has, and here, especially in Game 1, I mean, this team can win a lot more games than not.
Well, if you watched the game last night in Edmonton, obviously goaltending was an issue for the Oilers, as it has been for a while. And it was Blake Coleman that scored the sketchy tying goal last night. Coleman had a chance like 3 minutes in, point blank, and I thought, again, Demco just looking big in the net, made the save, and then Coleman a shorthanded breakaway in the second period as well when it's a 1-0 hockey game. So the shot total, it wasn't a busy night for Thatcher Demco, but in those 18 Calgary shots, there were some chances. And he came through, and really not a whole lot that he could do on the one goal, Morgan Frost spinning and firing it through traffic after we had said a couple of blunders by the Canucks with 7 minutes to go in the hockey game. It breaks the shutout bid, but it's not about shutouts. It's about victories, and ultimately the Canucks get theirs. Thatcher Demco gets his first of the season. The Canucks are hoping it's the first of many, and those are the 3 stars of this hockey game. Philip Heedle, Arshdeep Baines, Thatcher Demco, clean sweep for the Vancouver Canucks, and the 3 stars here on Rink Wide Vancouver, a presentation of your Pacific Toyota dealers.
Question for you, obviously, our listeners, if you haven't tuned into the preseason and didn't know, what have you made of Thatcher Demco's? We know about the summer and the workouts that he's had, but since he's gotten here and since you've been able to, watch him closely and obviously speak to him after certain practices, what have you kind of made of his, summer and into here in Game 1 now?
I've sensed a really motivated guy that recognizes that, a lot of the chatter around him is that he's injury prone. And I think he wants to prove people, like, he knows that, injuries have been part of his story here, but he just looks determined to, put in the work, do the recovery that's necessary to stay as healthy as possible. Obviously, we're all going to be watching and monitoring his workload as he goes here. But I get a sense that he wants to rewrite the narrative that has been shaped around him, that he's not able to be there when the Canucks need him, and just too many injuries now. I think from the first day of training camp, even in the summer skates, and look, I get that that's all they are. But to me, it was so, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess
dialed.
No, but it was comforting
to
go out to UBC and see him free in his range of motion and going through the movements and looking like the Thatcher Demco of a couple of years ago. And he's carried that through a strong training camp. Didn't give up a goal in the team scrimmage in Penticton. His 3 starts in Penticton. I thought he was good in the preseason out in Abbotsford. The home game at the end of preseason against the Oilers got the victory there. Went 2-1 in the preseason. The one loss was against a stacked Edmonton team in Edmonton when the Canucks didn't send a great lineup. And I think 3 of the 7 preseason goals that he gave up were on power plays, like 5-on-5. He was dialed in and has carried that over. So just a lot to like. Yeah. I would think that you come back with him on Saturday night. I know people are like, oh, you got to monitor. And like, if I'm calling the shots, I come right back with him on Saturday in Edmonton against the Oilers, and then go Lankinen on Monday afternoon, sort of that wonky 4:30. I don't know if there'll be a pregame skate. You don't want Lankinen to go too long without a start, but I think I saw nothing from this game tonight that would say, oh, Demko has to sit down. It's not back-to-backs. He'll have a chance to rest and recover here. I'd come back with Thatcher Demko on Saturday against Edmonton.
It's funny because we're also sitting here after game 1. He plays well, and we're talking about that. Should he play on Saturday, which a couple days from now? But there's a reason why Kevin Lankinen is there. There's a reason why they gave him a $25 million contract extension for the 4-year deal. Is he's going to eventually have to play. But here's the thing. This is a great problem to have if you're the Vancouver Canucks. You have 2 goalies. The one in the backup position could be a starter on a few NHL teams, especially if you've watched some of the games here in the last day or so. But great problem to have if you're the Canucks. And for Thatcher Demko, I agree with you. I think you go right back to him on Saturday in Edmonton.
A bunch more super chats. Yep. Keep them coming. We love this. Really appreciate your support of the show and also the BC Mental Health Foundation. Tossley says, Canucks hockey is back, baby. For one night, at least. But again, so much to like in this. We'll see if they can carry the momentum as they move on to take the Oilers on Saturday. Chris Rhodes, how great was it to see number 16 back in the building? We've seen Trevor Linden around the building. I think there's been some mending of fences in terms of the relationship. Time heals all wounds. It was great to see members of that 94 or that 95 team marking 30 years since the opening of then GM Place, now Rogers Arena. Place always pops when Trevor is out there for a ceremonial face-off or introduced to the crowd. So, it was good to see Trevor Linden and so many of the alumni there. This one comes from Free Petey. This is towards my mental health, which is much better now that I don't have to watch Talk It System. And one from Smasher66, a $10 contribution to the BC Mental Health Foundation. You guys rock. Keep smashing it. Hey, we will. We're just getting started here for the new hockey season. I was anxious today. I was excited. Like opening day and opening night for us. So was counting down the minutes till we got together here to fire up Rink Wide after a Canucks victory against the Edmonton Oilers. 5-1 the final score. Philip Heedle with a pair. It was Jonathan Lecker-Mackey. It was Kiefer Sherwood. And then Brock Besser rounding out the scoring. So many things to talk about. I mentioned it there briefly, but this is going to be the stat that stands out. I want to get to it because it's going to lead to a discussion point here. And the stat that stands out this season is going to be delivered by Uber Eats. The NHL season ramping up. We here at Rink Wide pumped to be partnering with Uber Eats all season long to deliver hockey fans the ultimate game day experience, the best matchups on the ice. They're made even better with top pairings and exclusive game day offers from Uber Eats. And Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app where they can get anything, almost anything, truly, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, or after the game. Uber Eats assisting every hockey fans experience all season long. I saw you were down around the Uber Eats activation at the rink.
I was Uber Eatsing and delivering and doing it all today. It was great. But no, definitely happy to have Uber Eats on board with us here and all the shows here in Vancouver.
All right, well, let's get to the stat that stands out then from this hockey game. And for me, again, it was a 1-0 game into the third period. There were moments here, but the Canucks held Calgary to just 3 shots in 8 minutes of power play time. So, we wondered, without Teddy Bluger, without P.S. Suter, penalty kill. They took a penalty early in the hockey game, and there was EP40. He was the first guy out over the boards to take a face-off. It was EP40 and Kiefer Sherwood along with Tyler Myers and Marcus Pettersson. And then Atu Ratu came out for the next face-off. Along with Connor Garland, it was Forbort and Hronek on defense. Ratu won the draw. They cleared the puck, and he headed straight to the bench and was replaced by Drew O'Connor. So it was interesting as the night went along because Brock Besser saw him killing a penalty in the second period with Jake DeBrusk. Arshdeep Baines, we talked about him. So the Canucks got a bunch of forwards involved, and I think this is going to be an ongoing process. They were perfect tonight, 4 for 4. So Adam Foote, I'm sure, and the coaching staff, Kevin Dean running the penalty kill, they'll all be delighted with the performances of just about everybody on the penalty kill. And so that probably buys them more opportunities as they go here. And, of course, at some point, Teddy Bluger will be back, but they're saying a week. So they're going to have to get through this weekend without Teddy Bluger. But, you can't start any better than that. 4 for 4 on the night for the Canucks, holding Calgary to just 3 shots on goal.
Well, the 3 shots on goal is massive, but also even more massive is the combinations of players. I think through 40 minutes, they had 7 different pairings of forwards that were out there killing penalties. So they're doing it by committee. There isn't just 1 or 2 guys that they depend on each and every night. Guys like Arshdeep Baines are blocking shots, but then you have a guy like Elias Pettersson coming out, taking faceoff. Brock Besser also out there as well. So doing it by committee. I mean, obviously a defensive-minded head coach in Adam Foote, but taking ownership, taking responsibility, and not a lot of people want to play on the PK. And you look at this team, and you've got 7 different sets of forward groups going out there and wanting to kill penalties and wanting to block shots. That's good juju for the room. That definitely is. That means that guys are willing to compete. It means that guys are willing to put their body on the line, do anything for the betterment of the game and for them to try and win those games. So huge shout out to the Canucks PK here in game 1.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I mentioned Connor Garland did a fair bit as well, and I think that's going to be a role that he is able to fill for the Vancouver Canucks. So, again, on a night where they check off a bunch of boxes, penalty kill among them, holding Calgary at bay for the most part. All right, do we want to talk about Braden Coots, or do we want to talk about the 2 hits involving Elias Pettersson early in the second period?
We'll start with the hits, I think. I think that's it was a pretty big talking point everywhere in the game.
Yeah, Mackenzie Weegar gets a good chunk of the OG EP40. Play was called a major on the ice, and then they reviewed it. We saw that applied a couple of times there in that second period. Now, Mackenzie Weegar got a misconduct in, I think it was an overtime last night in Edmonton. Was fired up. That won't do him any favors with the officials, and so I wondered if officials want to stick together and have each other's backs, but I think they got it right. It was an awkward-looking collision, and I mean, Pettersson went down the tunnel for a little while, returned to the hockey game, and that's a good news story for all involved there. But, I mean, it was a penalty. But I think they got it right. I mean, ultimately, I when I saw it in real time, it was right below me in the press box. It was more sort of the awkward positioning of Pettersson's body that left me concerned that he was going to be injured, but it was boarding. What do they call the penalty officially? It was boarding. So 20 seconds into the period, I like that application of the rules. Call it a major, and then that gives you the flexibility as the on-ice officials to take a look at it and make sure they get it right. They downgraded it. It was a 2-minute penalty.
Well, I think in real time, right? Especially, so you're able to go and do that. In real time, it probably did look like a major penalty. And you slow it down and you really look at it. Weegar doesn't hit him in the numbers, but he hits him in a position where that 2.5 to 3 feet from the boards is so dangerous. No matter who it is or what situation it is, guys fall awkwardly. You can trip and fall into the boards. Weegar wanted to hit him. It's not like he, wasn't going to shy away from not checking him, didn't hold up. He was going to hit him. And obviously the end result was a power play for the Canucks. And I think that I agree with you. I do think the officials got it right in that situation.
And so moments later, there's DPD stepping up on Connor Zary. And again, same thing. They call it a major penalty on the ice as Big scrum ensues. Zeri's down and needing some medical attention, but again, fortunately, able to pick himself up and stay in the hockey game. And as we watch it here, that one probably a little closer to, I was going to say to the numbers, but as I watched that replay there, it's a forceful collision, a big man, and it's that danger zone that you just talked about.
And I also think it's the finishing of the check that made it.
Fair
that
enough.
Might have been a little bit worse there. It was whereas Uyghur kind of got Pettersson, and it was more of a shoulder awkward fall into the boards. DPD here kind of hit him, and then you saw his arms extend a little bit, which made it look a lot worse than it was. But I also think that, getting this call is right. Flames fans are going to be pissed about it, and obviously the Canucks fans were angry about the way the Uyghur penalty wasn't called a major. But in the end, the referees decided to look at it properly and go with only the 2 minutes there.
Yeah, and so ultimately that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was basically matching minor penalties a couple of minutes apart, and no damage done. Neither team scored on the power play. Both clubs went 0 for 4 on the night with the man advantage, but the Canucks at least generated some looks, although I see people giving the Canucks power play some grief too. 6 shots on goal, but not snapping it around the way they did in the preseason. We liked what we saw from the Canucks power play. Now, again, you're facing teams that aren't at their optimal lineups in exhibition action, and maybe that figured into it to some degree, but there was better puck and player movement in the preseason. It's early. What I didn't like was there were too many hope passes on the power play, and I didn't think Quinn, as dialed as he looked in the preseason, he wasn't his best. Didn't figure in the scoring. We talk about that. But he just didn't look locked on the way that we're so conditioned to see. I thought the surest bet on the night was Quinn Hughes getting the point that he needed to become the all-time leading scorer among Canuck defensemen, and that's going to have to wait now. But I just thought, come on, against a tired Calgary team, 4 power plays as it turns out, and Quinn is held off the score sheet.
If you would have told me that the Canucks were going to win 5-1 and Quinn Hughes didn't factor into the score sheet, I would have taken that bet 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000. Like any day of the week, I would have said, no, you're crazy. Okay, but here's going to get on my soapbox on the power play right now.
All right.
They had a second power play unit, about 39 seconds left on it. Jonathan Lekkerimäki is on the opposite side of where he needs to be.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. I don't get it. And eventually, when he skated over to his right side, the power play had just ended, and he got the only chance on that power play was a shot. Although it was probably an easy save for Dustin Wolf, but it was still a shot. You don't want that guy on the ice, on the power play, and passing the puck. You really don't. And I think that I'm going to sit here and we're going to sit here until he gets on PP1 or until they move it around a little bit. But he is too good and his shot is too dangerous for him to be standing out there in no man's land.
Earth's going to be flipping the table here in studio. Get Lekkerimäki!
Nobody listens to me anyway, so it's fine.
But it's funny because I was at the rink for the first couple of periods. I had that same thought. So whether it was here in studio, whether it was there in person, we just saw this guy wire 3 shots in the preseason that found the back of the net from his spot. He should be planted there firmly, and instead Garland is setting up shop, and Heedle is sliding into that position. I'm like, what in the world is going on? It didn't cost them tonight, but yeah, if you're going to get those guys in the second unit, some power play time, put Lekkerimäki in position to feast, and they didn't do that. He did score, but it came at even strength. On the night, Lekkerimäki, 2 shots on goal, 3 attempts. So, for a volume shooter, getting 3 shot attempts away, not bad for a start, but what might have been had they put it in his wheelhouse there when they were working with the man advantage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we talked about those 2 hits. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the rookie that we've been talking about for weeks now.
The kid.
Braden Coots, and had the family in from Sherwood Park, and that there'll be a bigger rooting section when he goes back to Edmonton. We saw in the preseason he had 50 fans out to see his first game, even if it was an exhibition game, but now playing for keeps. The bottom line for Braden Coots is he's part of a win in his NHL debut. He got the rookie lap, as they all do nowadays. Looking at the stat sheet, 10 minutes and 42 seconds of ice time. So didn't play a ton, although 2 minutes and 40 seconds of that was power play time. So did get some looks with the man advantage. No shots, no shot attempts. He had a hit. He had a couple of giveaways. And this is an area that we're going to have to keep an eye on as long as he's on the NHL roster. Won just 3 of 9 faceoffs. And so welcome to the NHL. You're going to find yourself playing against some of the best players in the world. And I thought it was interesting. There was a really weak icing call that never should have been icing in the first period, but they blew it down. Canucks couldn't change. Coots is out there. Kadri on the other side. And Nazem just schooled him. Again, that's life. This is a guy that's been doing it at a high level for a long time in the National Hockey League. And so, I'm not pointing a finger at Braden Coots. I'm just saying those are situations that other teams are going to try to box him in. And Adam Foote's going to have to be wary. There wasn't anything they could do about it after the icing there. But now as they go out on the road into Edmonton,
can't protect him as much.
Draisaitl and McDavid. And, so anyways, there were moments. Again, you see the hockey smarts out there. There were some nice defensive plays, just positionally sound. I think overall it was a pretty decent National Hockey League debut for Braden Coots. I think I had kept my expectations fairly low for the guy, but he's exceeded everybody's expectations to this point. So, had he scored, it wouldn't have blown me away. I guess it would have blown me away, scoring in your NHL debut, but it wouldn't have shocked me just based on the evidence presented. But there's some room for improvement. But when I look at, his underlying numbers not great. 35.7% Corsi 4 at 5-on-5. And yet, in saying that, Canucks outshot the Flames 4-3 in the time that he was out there at even strength. So, yes, you'd like to see him obviously get a little closer to 50% in the Corsis, but it wasn't like they were buried in terms of actual shots and scoring chances given up.
I don't think that he looked in this game like the moment was too big. And that's kind of what you worry about in a home opener, the situation, the rookie lap, family in town. There's going to be some pressure, all Canadian matchup. There's a lot of pageantry that's going on. I don't think there was any moment where he really looked like he didn't belong or out of place. Having said that, Adam Foote did protect him a little bit with his ice time, and the only time he got worked was in the faceoff circle. But other than that, he wasn't a deer in the headlights, and that's saying something for a kid who's 18 years old that probably should be playing junior right now. So he's not. He's going to get a chance maybe to play Saturday in Edmonton against the Oilers. I definitely think that obviously he's on the team and going to make the trip, but depending on what head coach decides to do, we'll see.
I think they need him.
Yeah, so do I.
They don't have other natural centers at this stage, and they won. And, hey, Adam Foote, a winner in his NHL coaching debut as well, so we should salute him for that. But, no, his hands are kind of tied. He's got Pettersson, he's got Superman, Philip Heedle, and then he's got Coots and Ratu. Teddy Bluger's not going to play this weekend. Mm-hmm. And so I think Coots stays in the lineup. In a perfect world, maybe you would spot him here or there, but A, it is his hometown. And B, it's not like they've got better options at center ice right now. So I expect that the kid will be in the lineup on Saturday when they take on the Edmonton Oilers. So the Super Chats are rolling, just like the Vancouver Canucks. We love it. Demaniac Studios, great start to the season. Top paid players all looking good. And the looser system, freeing up talent on the offense while still keeping a solid D. Again, let's keep in mind that they were playing a Calgary team that was playing back-to-back and without Jonathan Huberdeau. Did what they had to do to get the win. I'm not diminishing it, but I think it's a little premature to be raving about the Adam Foote system just yet. It was nice opening night. Seems to me they won 8-1 on opening night 2 years ago against the Edmonton Oilers. So let's give it a week, 2 weeks, before we're starting to draw some sweeping conclusions about the way that the Vancouver Canucks are going to play. Another super chat, this one from CGZ saying, Lecker Mackey on PP1. When? Well, yeah,
that wasn't me, I swear.
No?
No, it wasn't me.
Maybe I was slow getting to it. I should have teed you up a little bit later. Or a little bit earlier so that we could have got there. But again, keep them coming all season long. Really appreciate it. And it's all for a great cause in support of the BC Mental Health Foundation.
How long before the first super chat about the system is always an interesting, topic, because there's a way when a head coach gets hired of how he wants to play. And then you go and have a meeting with your core about the way you envision the team looking. And then you get your team in training camp. So you try and implement a system. And then you get preseason and you said, okay, here's a couple games against some bad teams. We're not going to have our best teams. And then you go into game one. Like, how long do you think before we're really going to start to see this Adam Foote system or how he wants this team to play? Like, it might take a couple weeks here.
Oh, I think it will.
Or longer.
No, I think it will. They're in Edmonton Saturday. They come home to St. Louis. Then they're out on that road trip. And, it won't be long before we get 6-8 games of a sample size where I think you can start to identify trends and see if it matches what you believe the Adam Foote system to be. Look, through camp and preseason, we saw puck pressure. We saw active defenders jumping up into the rush, all those types of things. It's easy to say that, but there's another team that's on the ice trying to do a lot of the same things against you. And so let's see how they fare as they get out on the road, as they take on better competition. They're going to see the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday. They're going to see the Dallas Stars before too long. They're going to get into Washington. And, so there'll be some pretty solid tests ahead for the Vancouver Canucks in the early going. And I think at that point, we'll be able to get a little bit better of a read on this hockey club. Speaking of Edmonton, we are excited for the first Canucks Army watch party of the new season. It is coming up on Saturday. Vancouver at Edmonton, first road game of the season. Come join the Canucks Army crew. We're going to be there early on, and then we're going to have to leave to get ready for Rink Wide. But if you're there in the early going, doors open at 6 o'clock. Irf and I will certainly be there. Harrison Price, Quads, Harm, Jacob, our producer, everybody from Canucks Army and everybody under the Nation Network tent going to be there. And we want you to be there as well. I love this part. It's a free event, as in tickets are free. You're on the hook for anything you order off the street food menu or any of the arcade games you play. But there is no cover charge, no ticket cost. You do need a ticket, though, because we got to keep track of who is coming. And the spots are going. Looks like it's going to be a terrific crowd. So it should be a lot of fun. Sign up at nationgear.ca. It's that simple. All those big screens, the game day drink specials, trivia with great prizes. It is the first Canucks Army watch party of the season. It's on Saturday, and it is at Greta Bar, the place to be, 50 West Cordova. Greta Bar, let the games begin. Hopefully we'll see you there on Saturday night. All right, we've gone through a lot of the players on the roster, and it's taken us a while here. Evander Kane, the big offseason acquisition for the Vancouver Canucks, picks up an assist on the Lecker-Mackey goal, put it in his wheelhouse. It was a simple play, but it was the right play. Connor Garland also getting an assist midway through the third period there. The night for Evander Kane, by the numbers, an assist, 16 minutes and 40 seconds of ice time, over 5.5 minutes on the power play, 4 shots on goal, 4 hits, 3 giveaways. It's sort of the Evander Kane experience. A little bit of everything. Column A, column B, column C. I didn't notice him a ton. Again, there were a couple of blunders just in decisions he made with the puck. But, overall, gets a win on opening night, doing his part. It wasn't like he hurt the hockey club in any way. I want to believe that there will be nights where he's a little more prominent. Yeah,
4 shots. You had 2 in the first period, I think. Yep. The assist was a nice pass to Jonathan Lecker-Mackey for his goal. But yeah, you're right. Didn't really notice him too much, but it's probably a good thing. He had one shift where it was like 3 minutes. And I don't think for a guy that was 34, 35 years old, he wants to be on the ice for that long. But when they had the man advantage, the penalty power play was going to be called, and then the goalie Demco skated to the net. They had the extra attacker, and Evander was out there for a while. But you're right. The Evander Kane experience, and for him, they won. He didn't factor in on the opposite side of things. Like, he's not a -3 in this hockey game. He didn't take any bad penalties, put his team in harm's way. And Saturday's going to be a big one for him. He was in Edmonton for a while. I think he'll be up for that one. He'll probably get some sort of video tribute there in Edmonton. He's one of the better playoff performers for that team over the last couple of seasons. So it should be a fun one as we move on here.
Yeah, I thought as the game got spicy with those hits in the second period that maybe that was going to be the welcome to the team, that that might be a moment where we saw Evander Kane step up. But again, officials, I thought, handled it reasonably well. Game didn't get out of hand. The fact it was 1-0, that helps the officials too, right? Like, if those hits happen when it's a 4-0 game or 5-1, maybe it goes a little sideways, gets a little squirrely. But no, there'll be nights where Evander Kane is called upon to sort of play that role for the Vancouver Canucks. But it was fine. He was fine. Yep. For the most part, they were all good. It's hard to really pick at anything the Vancouver Canucks did on this night. They win it by a score of 5-1. It's a divisional win. They split their season series last year with Calgary. Each team went 2-1-1. Each team won once at home and once in the other team's building. So they only play 3 times this year. The way it works, one of those years where we're just conditioned to the Canucks playing the Flames like a bunch, but this is one of those years where they see a divisional rival just 3 times all season. So
I know Canucks haven't posted anything for post game, but Elias Pettersson saying that he didn't think the Uyghur hit was dirty. Said it was, just poor timing. Yep. Maybe in an awkward position there. So there's your answer from Elias Pettersson on how he felt about the hit.
Yeah. I just wanted to take a moment as well because I'm a huge sucker for opening day in any sport. I don't know. There's just something about the excitement. We've heard so much about the vibe around the Vancouver Canucks. I laughed this morning. Both Brock Besser and Tyler Myers offering up the fact the vibes are high. Like, they weren't asked about the vibes, but that just now has become part of the conversation around this group. And look, they've worked hard to turn the page from last year. They've said all the right things, and then nights like tonight are steps in the right direction of, authoring a new story for this group. Last year is in the past. They can't do anything about it. They just didn't want it to linger, and nights like tonight are going to help in that regard. But opening night is a chance, especially when you open at home, get the fans in there, place was hopping. The Canucks do a really good job. Look, this is far from a perfect organization, but one area that they do really well is the pageantry and sort of the pregame hype and the ceremonies. Terrific new video that they have put together ahead of the opening faceoff. If you were there, you saw it. If you're going to games throughout the season, it'll run every night. But they do, basically like a mini motion picture. They do a really good job. This one sort of outer space-ish, and I don't want to give it away because it is part of the game night experience if you've bucked up for tickets. But they did a really good job there. The player intros, as we talked about, getting some of the alumni back. Again, there was a good buzz in there. Unfortunately, the buzz kind of went away over the first 40 minutes because, there were some moments. But again, that Sherwood goal stood up for the longest time. And then the real fun began in the third period as the Canucks outscore the Flames 4-1 in the third period, 5-1 on the night. 5-1 is the final score of the Vancouver Canucks over the Calgary Flames.
You feel like people didn't really have an expectation of what to look for from this team heading into the opener? Like, what was going to happen with this group? I think in years past, well, especially last season, because of how the season before finished, there was an expectation. Like, that team needed to be good because of what had just happened. But now heading into this one, obviously energy's great in the building. I was out on the plaza there, and by the Pat Quinn statue and everything like that, and people were ready and excited for this game. But I think there might have been a little, not anxiousness or nervousness about what this team was going to look like.
Yeah, I can't speak for everybody, but my sense was, all right, really solid in goal. I think the best defensive core that they've had in a decade. And so you put that together and you think, okay, I should be able to cut down on goals, limit chances. Is there enough offense? And again, it's one night here in the regular season, but after a preseason in which they scored in bunches as well, maybe I underestimated what's possible with this group. It's going to take more. It's going to take these weeks that we talked about to really get a true feel. But, it beats the hell out of the alternative of look at the St. Louis Blues get shut out on home ice in their season opener. Happened to the Rangers the other night. Like, if people have questions about the offensive capabilities of a hockey club and they come out shooting blanks on opening night, then I think that filters into the locker room. Players start to wonder themselves. And so to be able to get goals from every line, to get Philip Heedle feeling good about his game early on, to get Jonathan Lecker-Mackey going and shooting the puck that way and goals in games that matter. Like, all of those are really positive signs for the Vancouver Canucks. So when we talk about vibes, I think, again, it's just one night, but it feeds into this idea that, yeah, the vibes are pretty good. And, how far can good vibes carry this hockey club? I think it's a fair question, and one we'll find out as they get deeper into the schedule here.
You know me, I'm a big vibes guy. I'm a guy that,
I do know that.
Big juju guy, hear what people are saying coming out of the room and, talking to guys left, right, and center. I definitely think that this team and the noise around it has kind of dissipated into, let's see who we are and who this group is now. Everything from the past is gone. Like, we're going to stop talking about it. We're going to talk about October 28th, and that's it. That's the only time we're going to talk about it again. That is the last time we're going to talk about it. But you know what I mean? There's going to be a tribute and everything like that. But it just feels different. The leadership group of this team feels different. Adam Foote feels different. And then you go out and you get a result where you don't really know what to expect from the team. And you say, okay, then your expectations start to change a little bit and look at it. And I know it's one game, and I know it's probably an inferior opponent on the second of back-to-backs, but all wins are good in this hockey league. And for the Vancouver Canucks, a 5-1 win on home ice, that's great.
Well, and I maintain that, look, if Thatcher Demco can dial it up to 2 years ago,
yeah,
like that, maybe more than anything, has the possibility to change the conversation of what's possible for the Vancouver Canucks. Like, if he steps up and delivers Vezina caliber goaltending, and I'm not saying that he did tonight, but he gave up one, and that's all he gave up, and it was really a garbage time. It was 4-0 at that point. If he can get his game to that level, then the rest of the things will quite possibly fall into place. But you just think of the confidence that would give the players in front of him, knowing that, like, yeah, this guy is back. That this is a player that we just didn't have really at any point, maybe save for, like, there was that week around the Four Nations where he looked like he was Thatcher Demco of old, and then he got hurt in that final game, had to take himself out of the game. The Leafs were here again before the Four Nations break, and then it was 6 weeks before we saw him again. So he's got to get through every game healthy, and that's going to be an ongoing concern for Thatcher Demco, but very few concerns on night number one. He looked good. The skaters in front of him looked good. And, again, they did it without a single point from Quinn Hughes. There's going to be nights when Quinn Hughes is driving this offense, but they didn't need him. And other guys stepped up and carried the load for the Vancouver Canucks in the win over the Calgary Flames. It's funny, you build up to opening night, and now day off, a practice day tomorrow, and then they get going again. They got the Oilers coming up on Saturday night, so Edmonton obviously won't be happy with what went down last night and the way that game got away from them. But when I say it's funny, lots going on around the National Hockey League, big build-up all week. There's not a game on the schedule tomorrow.
Silly.
Yeah, 3 days into this new season and they're dark already?
Every team plays on Saturday, though, so it's probably why they did it.
No, it is.
Yeah.
And in order to make that happen, no games on the Friday, 16 on Saturday, and then one game on Sunday. So anyways, we can't control the schedule. We deal with the games that are presented. But if we were looking ahead to tomorrow night to find our line of the night, well, that's going to have to push until Saturday. The line of the night brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, never ordinary at Bet365. Where are you looking?
Okay, let's go to the late games on Saturday night. Let's go to the Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. The Canucks are definitely going to be a road dog in that hockey game, but I can't sit here and wax poetically about vibes and juju and all these good things and not take the Vancouver Canucks at plus money that night against the Edmonton Oilers. They definitely have a better goalie. They've got a better defense. It's up to the offense and, special teams, and if they can win those two battles with Braden Coots' bunch of family and friends in attendance, it could be a good night for the Vancouver Canucks there. And I also like the Golden Knights. You're not going to get plus money there to absolutely wallop the Seattle Kraken.
Golden Knights
Did you see that
battled back to beat San Jose.
The way that game ended, if anybody is going to go and watch how that game ended between the goal to tie the game and the overtime goal, it is insane. You'll never see it again.
Tell me, Eichel scored from center?
Eichel scored from center ice on Nedeljkovic, and Nedeljkovic wasn't in his goal on the overtime winning goal. I don't know where he was or what he was doing, but it was wild.
Well, for this night, the Vancouver Canucks will move to the top of the heap in the Pacific Division, or will they? No, Vegas is up to 3 points. So.
Vegas is up to 3 points, and
they've played an extra game. So
I mean, they score so many goals, Jeff. It's wild. But anyways, whatever your bet is, whatever you're looking at, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
As I mentioned, the plan is for the Vancouver Canucks to practice here in Vancouver and then fly to Edmonton for the Saturday game. So, again, I wouldn't expect Adam Foote to tinker with a winning lineup. I mean, at some point, they'll get Linus Karlsson in there. I know people want Victor Mancini to play. I think I don't think you're just going to take DPD out of the lineup for fun. I mean, this guy's a regular in this lineup now, so
and he's not afraid to even. He's not afraid. I mean, Mancini's a big guy as well and can hold his own, but DPD goes and makes that hit, serves the time in the penalty box, but he's still not afraid to mix it up again after he knows guys are going to come after him. I like that about his game. I really do.
And so, yeah, I just there'll come a time where they're forced to make some lineup changes. At some point, Teddy Bluger is going to be back here before too long, but why would you mess with a winning combination? I guess the decision will be in goal. Is it as simple as, you want to get Lankin on the start and get him into a rhythm here? Again, when I look at the schedule here for the next 5 games to get you going, or 6 games, I would come back with Demco. Mm-hmm. And then Lankin on Monday. Mm-hmm. And then that sets up, they've got back-to-backs in Dallas and Chicago to start the road trip, so you would split those. And then the third game of the road trip is a Sunday morning game in Washington, and so
you flip a coin. You see whatever goalie's ready to go. If Demko doesn't like the morning games,
well, I guess there's that. But you play Demko Thursday in Dallas, then that's a good amount of rest until Sunday morning, and then maybe you get into a little bit of alternate your goaltenders at that point. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We'll see. Right now, the Canucks are enjoying this victory, and I'm sure tomorrow we'll turn their attention to Edmonton. But my gut says that you come right back with Thatcher Demko and give him Saturday's start against the Edmonton Oilers. All right, we're off and running here. The season is underway. We do this after each and every Vancouver Canucks game all season long. Irf's going to be here for the bulk of the games. We'll have some special guest co-hosts from time to time on those nights Irf is unavailable. But you're in with me on Saturday, right?
Absolutely.
Back at it.
And you and I here for Thanksgiving.
And then we'll spend Thanksgiving afternoon. That's a weird one, 4:30. It's a Prime game, so that's it's a doubleheader on Prime. That's the reason for the weird start time. But hey, it's the same start time for both the Canucks and the St. Louis Blues. So play they will, and when they're done, we get rolling. But before then, it's a Saturday show. And again, a reminder about the watch party, nationgear.ca to book your ticket. And we hope to see you there. I think it'll be some fun. We talk about the good vibes right now. I would imagine the vibes will be pretty high down at Greta on Saturday as that game gets underway. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the first Rink Wide of the new season. Our thanks to Jacob Lazar, putting in a shift behind the scenes. I know you've been busy. You've been on shows. You're writing again at Canucks Army. I saw that column. You're down at the rink with Uber Eats. So
Uber Eating.
You're here, there, and everywhere. And I just want 2 things before we run quickly. Canucks Army, if you're not already checking out the content there, add it to your bookmarks, your favorite website, whatever the case. Instant reaction right after this game. Stanchies are going to be back, a full post-game breakdown, and all kinds of fresh content the day after games as well. So, make sure that Canucks Army is part of your reading habit. And make sure you're following Rink Wide on all of our social channels. Particularly make a point of subscribing to the Rink Wide YouTube channel. It's always been a post-game live stream, but we are going to branch out, get posting more practice and game day content from the rink. And so whenever new content is posted, set a notification so that you don't miss anything. Hit that subscribe button on the Rink Wide YouTube page. All right, that is going to do it. 5-1, the Vancouver Canucks off to a nice start in the 2025-26 National Hockey League season. They defeat the Calgary Flames 5-1 for Irf. I'm Jeff. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.